Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes. Feel your feet on the floor. Take a deep breath in and anchor all that you are. The sovereign self, the essence of your true power, that crystalline light that flows through each cell, each molecule, throughout your entire cellular body. Feel into your body the heart and the crystalline energy flowing through you from the highest point of heaven into the deepest heart of Gaia. Just a beautiful, towering cell of light coming from above down below. And as we awaken the lighthouse, the beacons of light that we are called to be, we call in our teams to secure the channels of our divine circle today. As each team presents themselves within the circle, we feel the strong, vibrant, secure boundaries holding space for our heart work that we offer today. And as we stand present in our circle, sister to sister, we call forth the energies of rose quartz for nourishment, peace, and self-love. We call in rhodochrosite for compassion and renewal. And we place rhodonite into our circle for clear communications. We bring in amazonite for harmony. We bring in malachite for acceptance and forgiveness. We place those beautiful stones in the center of our circle to draw our energies from for healing wherever we are taken today. We are holding the matrix of clarity, vision, and mission within this crystalline kingdom. And we anchor that in, and so it is. So if we each want to go around and presence ourselves in the circle, and we'll start with Arlie.
Well, good morning. I'm in New Zealand, just across from Wellington. And once again, it's the joy of the morning that I want to bring. Even though it's windy and blustery, it's blue and it's cloudy and it's sunny and it's springtime, and it's just joy is in the air here. So I would like to presence that in the circle.
Thank you.
And I will call on Kelly.
That was beautiful. What I love about that is the opposites. So here I am in Oregon and we're going into fall, and here you are in spring. So I love that we have both being presented here. So I would just like to bring in comfort and balance. That's what I'm wanting to presence in today as we settle into whatever this is to be. I'm complete. Cinda, you're next.
Oh, Susan, that was beautiful. Oh my gosh. Names of crystals I haven't thought about in so long that I used to work so intimately with. It just felt like a family reunion. It was incredible. I'm just really feeling the call of the mineral kingdom in a way that I haven't in quite a while, that I had to go get my selenite wand so I can hold them while I'm working today. What do I want to bring in? Clarity, peace, and joy. Sharon.
Okay, it's a little overcast this morning. It was really sunny, and I thought I'd really get out and be outside. Been very moderately outside so far. But what I want to bring into the circle is that time of quiet with that sense of peace in that going within. And that's kind of where I'm at. turning it back to you, Susan.
Well, it was fun to find all my crystals, the rose quartz and the rhodochrosite, and as you said, Cinda, old friends coming back home. So just to sit in that circle with them and to sage and get them vibrant again was amazing. And what I'd like to talk a little bit about today is Sharon sent out our broadcaster newsletter, which talked about the heart again and the world needing this new heart. And so, as one of the pillars with the guardian circles, the crystalline broadcasters always support whatever, and we weave into that work as well. So I would like to have Sharon talk a little bit about her vision for recreating or re-energizing the heart energy, because Arlie, I don't think you were there Saturday, and I think that's where I would like to direct, or I'm sure that's where our work is going to go through today. I'm going to take us to Sedona before we jump into that work, and we're going to work with the divine feminine energy of the cathedral vortex. And I'll just do a quick little presentation after that. But then we'll connect that divine feminine energy into the work that Sharon and the Guardian Circle started on Saturday. So Sharon, could you talk a little bit more about the heart energy?
Well, as I said in my newsletter, I was having a conversation with one of my daughters, and it when I completed and what was that about, etc., sitting with it, it was like, oh my gosh, this was like when Michelle's heart was not going to recover. It was not going to restore, and it was going to die. There was no getting around that medically. And because my daughter is so afraid that we're really going to go down the tubes. And so I, at that moment with my daughter, they said, you have to let go of the possibility that the heart's going to turn around, and you've just got to go for a new heart. And I went, oh my gosh, that's the model. So it was like, okay, this heart that we have, which has been driving our cultures, is really the outsider's agenda. And they have built the heart, false heart, but nevertheless, the heart from which our cultures have grown is the outsider heart, and that's not going to restore, and we need to have it removed. And so going for a removal of that which we have had as our heart was oh my gosh, that's the perfect model. And then as I'm being shown and walked through, and I don't know if this came on Saturday, I think it came on Saturday, as I'm watching the heart transplant that Michelle had, they took her in and they put her under anesthetic. And that translates to those of us who are saying, we've got the message, stop manifesting more deeply, because we have the message. Put it to sleep. Put all the manifesting seeds to sleep. Put that heart to sleep. And then she had to go on. She was incubated, which means she couldn't breathe on her own. So all of those prayers, all of the guardian circle has that energy of bringing and breathing for our systems whose heart's being removed. I went, yeah, that's true. And then I have a few people in my world who are very, very committed to their knowingness that they only focus on the heart, the new heart. They very focus on love is all there is. And it's like, okay, that's the new heart. We've been building that new heart. So we've got it all ready to go. So I'm kind of watching that procedure happen in relationship to the earth and the systems. And as the new heart's put in, I was reminded something I had not been aware of before with heart transplants is they get the new heart in and they connect it to all the various systems physically. So it's got that in place, but the neurological systems are not there yet. The heart has been disconnected from some of the, and they have to, but they will rebuild. It's like, and I went, oh my gosh, that's the communication system that these women's circles, that the women's intuition, that we're waking up, it's like watching for and building this communication system for the new heart was another aha moment for me. So, you know, my newsletter went out and just simply said, hey, here's some reality statements. That's the end result. We don't have to figure out how, but let's, you know, this time just like cut the whole heart out. Very similar to that time, remember when we were shown in one of the circles where the outsider creation was to be allowed to drop down into the -4th dimension, leaving this world intact, damaged still, having to be loved back into wholeness. But now the extra piece was remove that heart because there's a new heart ready to go in. Thank you, Susan. Back to you.
You talked a little bit on Saturday about connecting the organs as well. Is that new heart, that new energy connecting out to other pieces of the whole. So when I was sitting with the crystalline kingdom and they brought cathedral vortex to me, I found this passage which was absolutely perfect. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can look at the pictures while I'm reading about them. So this is cathedral. This is one of my favorite places to go. The Oak Creek Canyon runs through the base of cathedral. It's one of the most powerful vortexes in Sedona. It's said to be the divine feminine, but a shaman that I've worked with for 20 years that lives there gave a different analogy. So you could see there's a small piece in the center, and then there's two pieces here. He calls it the masculine and the feminine, and this is the bridge of energy, the portal of light between the two energies that joins and merges within them. But I found this passage. It said, the sacred divine feminine essence is giving a structure, a bridge of support through the crystalline grid lines for the re-emerging presence of Shekinah, Sophia, Isis, Hathor, Grace, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, who carry the universal blueprint awakening for the embodiment of the sacred divine feminine. The vortex in Sedona is an access point of the ley line grids, assisting with the current wave of consciousness that connects the heavenly and celestial bodies to source through the consciousness field. So there are your pathways out from the heart through this beautiful vortex. Its cathedral rock is all three, balances the mind, body, and spirit. It's one of the strongest magnetic vortexes of all of Sedona. When I go there, I just simply end up crying. I sit along the beautiful Canyon River, and I just melt into this beautiful divine feminine energy. Oh, she is.
Is that up there, Susan? This picture, is that up there in the cathedral rock area?
This picture is where we anchored that Stargate with my beautiful quartz. That's my beautiful quartz in the center, my 6-pound quartz. And the shaman that I've worked with, he worked over this piece of land that overlooked cathedral. So we're south of cathedral, and those mountains that you see over the ledge are cathedral. He created this, and he was just waiting, as he said, for the quartz to come and activate the energy in the. But it's out in the preserves. And I am stuck in my screen here. And I'm not sure how to get back out.
Maybe your back arrow up there, the blue back arrow.
There we go. Yay. There it is. This is the creek that runs through. It's very sacred. It runs all the way through Sedona, and it weaves its magic all the way through. This is the backside of Cathedral. And you can see the very, the shaman said that he calls them star beings because they're the individual towers, and he thinks of them as individual star beings that are holding space there. The creek is just magnificent to walk and hike along. It's constantly moving, bringing that beautiful energies through. So just a few picks to get that energy. What we did, the funny part of the story is I had brought the quartz flame with me, and we were ready to head out to the space, and I asked Clay, the shaman, I was like, why am I hauling this 6-pound quartz? I hauled it all the way from Scottsdale. And he said, well, I don't know. He said, I don't know why you're bringing it along. And I'm like, well, if you don't know, I don't know. Why am I lugging this thing out? He's like, I don't know, carry it with us. So it's in the backpack, and it was probably a 2-mile hike to get to the circle. And I'm like dying carrying this quartz, plus my elbow had been broken. So I've only had one good wing, and I'm hauling this. And we stand there, and he's talking about this little puka shell that's in the center of the circle. And I was like, oh my gosh, the quartz fit perfectly on the puka shell that he had had there for months. And it was just waiting to connect. Because the quartz told me in Scottsdale it had to come with me up to Sedona. And it wasn't the crystal that I wanted to buy. I had a beautiful rose quartz bowl picked out. But it kept calling me, and I actually turned it around in the conference room because I didn't want it to look at me every time I walked past it and went over the rose bowl. So I made a deal with it. I said, if you're still here on Sunday, I will take you to Sedona with me. If no one buys you, you will come with me. And I said, now remember, I can't take both of you, rose quartz bowl or you. So, and I left it, and every day I'd go in at the end of the day, it was still there. My beautiful rose quartz bowl I would go talk to. And finally, at the last hour before they closed the conference room, this beautiful, beautiful quartz was still there. So I honored my agreement with her, and we wrapped her up, and I carried her out of the resort, and she was leaning on the broken arm because it was pretty supported. And I went to go open the door, and she fell on the driveway outside the car. And I'm thinking, the first thing I was thought, oh my gosh, all this money, it's got to be shattered, And my husband looked at me and he said, what's wrong? I'm like, oh my God, it can't be broken. It's supposed to go to Sedona. And so I unwrapped it very gently, praying the whole time, and she was in perfect form. So that's how she ended up coming home with me. And then I had to get her on an airplane and fly her home to Illinois. And so we've been together, since that day that we activated her in the portal there. And she lets me know when I leave her behind. When I do workshops, I've left her in the shop before, and I'll get halfway home and I'll hear, I think you need to turn around. And I'm like, I'm not turning around. She's like, yeah, if you look behind you, I'm not here. I'm like, yeah, you're in the bag. No, she isn't. So several times I've had to go back to the venue that I've done a class to go retrieve her. One time I did leave her overnight, and the store owner was grateful. She said she had time to meditate with her and could tap into the magic of her. So she brings that energy of Cathedral home with us. I bring her there every time we go. And I just ask her to soak in that divine feminine. So
I'm going to go get dirt from Cathedral Rock. I'll be right back.
Oh, nice. So that's my story. She, continues. People see all sorts of things in her, dolphins, and so she sits up here. And now with a broken arm, you're carrying, the 6.5 pound quartz. It gets a little heavy. She has her own carrying bag. So
So, cathedral, right here. This is the dirt from cathedral, from the heart center.
From the heart, yep. Do you have dirt from all the vortexes in Sedona in there?
Yep, right there.
Oh, sweet.
Bell Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't remember all their names now. If you were to read them off, I'd be able to tell you which one.
Coffee Pot, Bell Rock, Cathedral.
Bell Rock.
Bell, yeah. Bell Rock, favorite to hike.
Yeah. So, yeah, right here. So, is the cathedral the one with the chapel?
No. Mm-mm. No, that's the chapel, the Red Rock Chapel. Yeah, they're separate. Which is now taken over by the Catholic Church, which changed and shifted and altered that energy. It's yucky now. It is. The Catholic Church bought it, and wasn't it Frank Lloyd Wright built it? And the energy was just magnificent in the beginning. But recently, as I say, the Catholic Church took it over, and it is not very nice energy anymore. So traveling today, think of that heart, that new heart that's in place, and think of those bridges from the feminine, from that healing energy of the red rocks, wherever your guides want to take you, whether it's the future, whether it's the past, whether it's the present, wherever you're called to assist in assisting this heart energy to spread and support us in this crazy time that we're in. So, yes.
Can I ask a quick question? I'm sorry. Sharon, so for some reason this time describing the heart transplant really resonated with me. I think I really heard it this time. And so I have two questions. Because I remember when Michelle got her new heart, and I remember when you called and you went, Grace was there, Grace was there. We need to tap into Grace because we're now praying for a new heart. We're now calling in a new heart. And then when it was found and when it was coming in, so you're saying that there is a heart, that the heart has already been created.
Yes.
Because it's hard to do a transplant without the replacement. So you're saying the replacement is ready to go.
Right. Like even with Michelle, when they said you've got to change the outcome, I said, is there a contract in her life plan for a new heart? And they said it's there. I said, is there a donor contracted? They said yes, it is there. So we knew that there was a contract and a specific donor for Michelle's heart. And what they're saying to me about this is that the heart, we have created the heart through all the work we've been doing, holding that future beingness, whatever we give it, us and so many others, has created that energy of the new heart already. So the heart is there, yes, ready to be inserted. And so instead of restoring what is, which is the culture of systemic changing that somehow, no, just remove the heart.
And have the teams put immediately, do we hold space for it, or and just, you know, or are we the surgeons, or
they already know exactly what to do. They only need us for permission, but you can participate in any way you feel called to. Like sometimes I've suggested that with the guardian circles, we all have this commitment to up to 5 minutes a day, just energizing the focus and being with the focus. What do you need from me? And for me, it's, I often like to be part of the watching, you know, and I don't see it in the same visual. Some people are very clairvoyant. I see it kind of like that. And sometimes it's just holding the outcome or listening, like that piece that says the neurological system, the communication system has got to be energized, because that's not there yet, because you know, the organ connections will be there, and we can strengthen the organ connections, but the neurological, and I'm not even sure I'm using the right word, but the neurological system, it's like that is a collaborative network. It would be like women used to communicate intuitively. We used to be able to, and it's coming back, but it's that system of communication on a very subtle level that this heart needs to be connected to, that we do. They can't, in a heart transplant, they can't connect the nerves.
Right. Okay, and then, Susan, can I ask one more question, or would you like me to? Okay.
No, absolutely. And if anybody else has any questions as well.
So Sharon, 1,000 years ago, when you did a healing on me at your daughter's house, I met you halfway, and you were putting your hands on, and you were doing a healing, and you asked me to leave my body, go someplace else so you could work on me. And so I was immediately sent down into the bowels of Mother Earth, and I was way down there, and I was in a cave, and there were these ancient women around what was like a fire, but the fire was a heart, and it was beating, and they asked me to sit down, but it almost looked human. And I was a little bit grossed out by it. I remember going, ew. And they said, oh, no problem. And so they instantly changed it to a beautiful 3-dimensional cartoon heart-ish, stone heart type thing. And then it ended up that it wasn't a cave we were in, but we were sitting in the center of a curled up dragon. And, but point being, I really believe that what I witnessed was the heart of Mother and the ancients honoring that heart. So is that the heart that is infected? I mean, I'm trying to, because I don't, is it?
The heart, as I understand, when they say transplant the heart, we need a new heart transplant. It's like what has become the core, therefore the heart, the core of our earthly systems is the parasitic concepts of life, which says life is about dominating. So when they speak of a heart transplant, what they're speaking of is to identify that this heart that we have been impacted by is not going to change. It is a parasitic concept, and we've known those concepts don't change, and we've been, removing them. But what they're now saying is the heart itself can be taken away, and what will be replaced is that heart that's resonating. That's a resonance, a direct reflection of our soul's concepts heart. So what I would say what you saw was that heart that represents humanity, or the souls. That's what you saw. It's that heart that has been kept alive by surviving, but has been also energized in the last several years, but intensely lately. I could say maybe we're returning to the heart, which is a reflection of our soul's all aspects of good. So I would say what you saw was that, and what they're referring to as the heart that it's time to give them permission to cut the heart out, is that false heart that has been the core of systems to dominate. Does that help?
Well, so I wonder, I think, because I'm feeling into the energy that I felt in that circle of women, and they weren't misguided. They weren't keeping alive a sick heart. So maybe they were holding space for that heart, for that soulfulness.
No, when we first came, the souls in female bodies, we had the heart. We had it already. It's going back to before we were crippled. You went back before we were crippled, in villages before the invasion, before the crippling. So it has already been here and been identified as dangerous to outsiders and crushed, seemingly crushed, but intentionally hidden, intentionally pretended, intentionally, so that the energy of the female could continue to survive until a time where we brought back our discernment, the voice of a discernment, so we could bring that heart of love out into the world. It was supposed to exist right down in the roots. We were even discouraged to build roots for, in many cultures, but no, I would say what you saw was the original how we were on the planet as women. Because remember, for me, the golden dragons was also part of Gaia.
Right.
So
Yeah.
all part of that.
Yep. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Anyone else would like to put anything in the circle before we travel? Would you like to add anything?
I brought Sedona's rock.
I have my heart rock from Sedona.
I got my Sedona egg.
So
Okay.
beautiful energies today, beautiful energies. So I guess when I'm looking at the crystalline kingdom, where does it fit in supporting this new heart? How does it create a structure, a bridge to revitalize, to send out that frequency, to allow that heartbeat within the crystalline field to reach everyone? So wherever you're guided to travel, whether it's to connect that new heart to other pieces around the world, whether it's to create bridges from that heart into a new world, wherever your guides take you, we all know that's for the highest good and highest healing for what our work is today. So if there aren't anything else, if anyone has anything else to put into the circle. All right, so let's go ahead and close our eyes. Take that deep breath in. And as we call in the heart of the mother in this time, in this space, we call in the crystalline kingdom, beautiful beings of light. We call in the rose quartz and the rhodochrosite, the amazonite, the malachite. We call in our teams to take us to that place we can be of greatest assistance within the crystalline grid lines, within the structure, the bridges of support for humanity at this particular point in time. And allow your teams to see, sense, or know, take you wherever that point may be.
A cave kind of reminded me kind of like Carlsbad Caverns with stalagmites, things like that hanging from the. So, and then I went deeper and deeper, and what I then became was a single crystal, a big tower, kind of similar to what your crystal was, but it was rainbow, it was very sparkly and lots of shinies and all the colors and all the spectrums. And then what happened is that it would be replicated and fall. So it'd be like I'd be right here and I'd feel part of it go down and go boom, and then I'd be here again. And so it would do it all the way around. So about 8 times, kind of like, and then, so and each time that happened, a part of it would fall, but this would stay, and it did it all. So then what would happen is when these crystals, like the replica, fell, its contents, its sparklies, its little neutrons or whatever would kind of shatter out, spread out, and multiply, right? So then there would be more. So this would happen. But then what also happened is each time one of these fell, it was like this transfer of energy. So you could see this arc of energy go with it, hit, and then an arc of energy would come back and come to the top. And then this tower would grow, and it would do it again and again and again, but it would do it in sequence. So it boom up, then boom up, and boom, up, all, and then it would stack and stack and stack and stack. And each time it fell further out, but then came back. Does that make sense? So one would fall, come back in around the circle. The next one would fall, but a little bit further out, come back in. And so it's just doing that. So it's just like, it's like a dominoes, a series of dominoes have been put into play. And then, and the crystals are, I mean, it's like beautiful. I could be there all day long. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to have to go take a nap after this and sit with it. But then I was thrust into a white room with a man over here on the left side that told me that I needed to go into the closet because somebody was waiting for me to give me a message. And I went into the closet to get the message. And I knew them, but I can't figure out who they are. So, and then that's when I came back, and I could still feel the energy of this transfer of energy going back and forth. And I'm complete. So that was it. Arlie.
Okay, so I started by walking down a path, and I came to a clearing, and a hole opened in the clearing, and a cartoon heart came flying out into space. And just when I thought it should like burst and become fireworks or something like that, made up in my head, it slipped through a slash into another dimension, and I knew it was gone. So I looked at the hole again, and a red rose was blossoming. You know those time-lapse photographs, photography, where, you know, the rose starts up and it filled up this entire huge hole. But as it rose, it became lava, and then it became white hot, and lines like spider webs shot out of the hole, Kelly, and started joining with all of the crystals that all of us have in our houses, including the common everyday crystals that we've talked about before, like salt. Little fine lines everywhere, all over, just shooting out and shooting out. So I watched this for a while, and then thicker lines started coming out, and I followed one of the lines down, and it went to a woman who was working with the crystals and to bring this energy in. And I knew that all the other fatter ones were going to people who were doing the work that is being done here. And as I watched this, a being appeared dressed in robes like out of the Mists of Avalon. Okay, you know, the hooded mystery woman robes, kind of thing I wished I really looked good in. And she started walking around this circle and touching the lines that were going to the people, and she was kind of thrumming them. And I knew that she was fine-tuning them, making them a little bit more connected, better tone, better something. She was improving what was happening there. Then I heard, you know, I was thinking there really aren't a lot of these thick lines there, you know, going to people. And I heard that if people only reach out, they will be connected to this energy, and they will be able to do the work. You don't have to be special. You just have to be willing. And that's where I went, and that's what I saw. And Cinda, it's your turn.
I love when there's this overlap. I knew that I had to clarify my questions and my vision that I had when Sharon did a healing on me 1,000 years ago, because I knew that would probably be where I would go, and it was. And so I went back in time, now that I know that was the original heart, and we're back there. And so I explained to the women what's going on in the future, and that we need to activate a new heart, we need to activate, and we need to wake people up. So the dragon that we were sitting in the curled up section just casually leans over and breathes fire onto the heart and activates the rose quartz. So the rose quartz is now turning into this blooming flower of a heart, but it's still like a human heart, so I know what it is. But basically what they're doing is they're creating a pulse that will travel through time of what a healthy heartbeat sounds like, and it connects itself to the crystalline grids. So the crystalline grids through time are carrying the heartbeat of mother. What does the heartbeat originally sound like? What does it sound like? And people will feel the heartbeat, they will feel the sense. And what will happen, and it's happening now. I mean, the second that they were aware, the second that they became aware of it, the heartbeat resonance started, and it's been sending it out. And so the crystalline grid across the world is carrying the resonance of a healthy heart. So the people will become aware of what is healthy and what is not, because they will hear the healthy, they will feel the healthy, they will adapt to the healthy, and therefore that which is not in resonance with it they will become more aware of it. And in that moment, when a certain percentage of the population all become aware of it, it's like the 100th monkey. The moment a certain percentage of the population becomes aware of it, it no longer has authority or power, and the new heartbeat just forms, and that neurological attachment, Sharon, that you said was needed would happen. So I go back in and I ask, okay, when will the heartbeat be activated? And they said it has been, it's happening now. What percentage of the population needs to become aware of the healthy heartbeat before the old one is recognized as being diseased, weak, polluted, evil, dark, whatever? They said 30%. And I was like, okay, that's not, I mean, that's a lot of hundreds of thousands of millions of people, but it's not a lot. So once 30% of the people recognize a healthy heartbeat, we'll be able to distinguish the difference between the healthy and the unhealthy. And the moment they feel it, sense it, understand it, the shift will happen. So I asked, how do I support this? How do we make people aware? And they said, ask the simple question. They said, ask what, like if you find someone that's complaining about anything, all we have to do is say, how does that make you feel? What does your heart feel about that situation? And then when they say, it hurts my heart, it doesn't feel good to my heart, it scares my heart, then the next question is, what does a good heart feel like to you? What would it feel like to you if this was healthy instead of awful? And then the second they then remember what a healthy heart feels like because of the pulse that is happening in the crystalline grid, they are immediately altered. I'm done. How does it make you feel? What does your heart feel like? What would, yeah, exactly. Thank you, Sharon. All right, Sharon.
So I was really felt again that connection to the crystalline kingdoms that have been with us for, I don't know, 3 months now, that have, they said, this is why we have asked to be free. Remember, they ask us to give them their freedom, take away labels, put them in charge. They said, because we need that at this moment in time. And so they said, we are the network, we are the neurological, we are the bridge. We will, and I said, do we need to keep you shielded? They said, yes, for a time. Keep that shield in place so that we can just continue to do what we do. So I would say guardian circles would be the shield while they do what they need to do. They said we are fully capable. In fact, they said we are capable, in fact, fully capable of this task. We know who and what to bring on board. We know exactly how to do it. And I said, how can we then function with you, be together? And they said, say that you do. That's why I made these, put up these reality statements that they were already in place. So I had to put, you know, I had to post them before I could post Cinda's because they were already in the queue. And it was like, so just say that you're a consciously participating aspect. So and then we can bring you the doors. We can bring the doors to you, you to the doors. We can put you in that whole networking because you're asking and saying you are a part. And so that's what I got. Back to you, Susan.
Well, what first came in was this big heart, and it was over the United States, and they called it the mother ship. So I was kind of like, oh, kind of like a, alien kind of thing hanging out there. But what came off of this beautiful heart-based energy were these like slides, and each arm went to each state in the United States. They called them chutes. And so it was like this beautiful heart had these anchoring, these pathways, and they were infusing themselves into each state across the United States. And I asked what was going on, and they said that this was a new infusion, that they were broadcasting this new field. And by anchoring these chutes in each state, they were sending out, and they used the word remembrance, and grace immediately came in and part of this new infusion. So those beautiful chutes coming off this mothership, this heart, are just anchoring in. And as Sharon described it, they said they are the pathways. They are there. This is what they're doing. That from the heart energy are coming and anchoring into each state and moving that vibration and broadcasting the remembrance, the new infusion, the grace across each state. So I am complete. So if everybody wants to take themselves off of mute, it has any comments, thank you so much for traveling with me today and bringing all your beautiful visions. And does anybody have anything they'd like to add before we finish for the day?
There's just such an incredible amount of synchronicity in the visions that people saw with the hearts and the lines. And it's just like, so wonderful to be a part of this group and to experience this with everyone.
I saw that speech where Trump was sitting in the Oval Office talking about what had happened. It was before he did his tour. And, you could tell he didn't feel well. You could tell he was flushed from fever. At one point, it looks like he had a coughing attack and they edited it perfectly. But there's one moment, if he gags, I don't know if you see it, it's at 108, actually 108. So at 107, look, and you see him have a coughing thing and they edit it nearly flawlessly. Anyway, point being is that I'm looking at a bunch of my friends who believe in him, and I think they're very frightened, and I think they're very confused, and I think that their leader, that confusion is coming from who do they, what's real, because what he said wasn't going to happen is happening to him, and what does that mean to them? Anyway, point being, that questioning is important. And And that pause, and that worry, even for him, is bringing in a form of compassion that might not have been there before, meaning that if this heartbeat that is resonating through the crystalline grid right now, they're going to be more receptive to feeling it, I believe. And so these questions to ask are just so important, because I think they're feeling their heart more than they have in the past. And because they were so consumed in fear. And now it's a different kind of fear because it's real, not made up. So they're tender.
Thank you, Sharon, for putting that in the chat. Is it possible to, how do we copy that?
Well, you can copy and paste, but you just copy and paste it into, I just copy and pasted it into a letter in my Yahoo, because it's the fastest, easiest to pull up a document. And you can work with it. I didn't get those questions exactly, probably as Cinda said them, but at least I captured them, so you can then, put them in the way you do. I am going to put that into in the YouTube channel, on the YouTube channel. When I upload this into the channel, I will put those questions and statements in that one in there too.
Perfect. That's beautiful.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Everyone. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. And thank you, Susan, for your beautiful
That was beautifully done.
opening and
Beautifully done.
your guidance.
Okay. And
till next week.
Grandmother spray. That's my favorite.
Grandmother spray. I've got grandmother spray. I'll spray too. Can I really quickly bring up the computer crystal, since we haven't had a chance to?
Yes, Cindy, go for it.
Okay, Arlie, do you remember, like,
She's
2 weeks
I
ago?
do. It was the August 17th Crystal Broadcasters. It's at the 2847 mark. And because I went back and looked it up.
Yeah.
I went back and looked it up.
I captured it and put it, because she and I have been emailing. She says, "What's this?" Because she got kind of a tail end of it. So I captured what some of the wording she said, so that we've got that captured. So what action do we want to take on it? I think that's where you're at, Cindy.
Well, yeah. So that woke up. That reminded me, Arlie, when you had that vision, and then Susan said, "Well, computers have crystals in them," and I think it had to do something with voter.
Solar panels have rare earth minerals, of which 50% are crystals, and all of these everyday things have crystals in them. We are surrounded by crystals in our lives and our houses. Sand is silica, so on and so forth. So when we talk about this energy going out to the crystals and the crystals working with us, we are surrounded. I mean, I don't know of a flying crystal in the air, but just about everything down here on Earth, some part somewhere within a few inches of us each, there's probably a crystal of some kind. So.
Well, and so that meeting a couple of weeks ago, and Susan said there are crystals in the computer systems, and we can activate those crystals to work in favor of voter fraud or voter or something. You guys have recently seen it, but that activated in me a memory of a very dear friend of mine who years ago, she is a tech expert. Her name is Mary Berger. Her computer is called Computer Diva. Her business is called Computer Diva. And she does energy work on her computers, and she works with Archangel Michael, who works with technology to heal the computer. So after that meeting, I called her and I said, "Mary, I have an assignment for you." And I reminded her that there are crystals in every computer system. And I reminded her of when a psychic gave her a reading, he got freaked out because there was in his mind all these computers that were talking about her around the world. They were all talking about, "Do you know there's a human that can talk our language? Do you know there's a human that is able to clear us, clean us, keep us safe?" And they're talking about her. And it frightened him. And this man speaks to dead people. So he was, what is happening? And she says, well, that's because I work with computers. And no, that doesn't surprise me. So she went into meditation. This was like 3-4 years ago. And she went into meditation, and she was shown that there was only 2 people on the planet, her being one of them, that are actually aware that the computers are working with this energy that can be healed through Reiki, through energy, be actually worked with for good. So knowing what I know from the work that Susan does, the little bit, Susan, maybe from your book and stuff, I talked to Mary and I said, you need to take what you're doing and bring it up a level, and with intention, send waves through your computer. So crystals will speak to crystals, which will speak to the crystals, because they are of the highest good and they only want to be used for the highest good. So if something is not in alignment with the highest good, they'll shut down. They will refuse to work. They will not allow themselves to be manipulated anymore. And she said, I'm on it. And I'm like, okay, but you need to speak to, we need to bring in all these people. And then the group kept getting bigger and bigger, which makes it more difficult for all of us to meet at the same time. But it's what she does anyway. So she's, I believe, and hopefully that she's been doing it because, but also the timing of all of this is so interesting, because something woke her up in the middle of the night before I even told her this, and she knew she needed a new computer. So she goes out and she buys the highest end laptop computer with all the bells and whistles. She doesn't need one, but she knows this particular computer said, I'm the one you want. And then she went out and she bought the most updated phone that she can, that's on the assembly line right now. It's on order. I don't know if she's got it yet. Point being that she said, why am I needing to buy all of this upgraded technology? And then I call her and I tell her, Arlie, about what you had seen, and then what Susan had said, and then what I know she's capable of doing. And so her intention is to get all of the crystals to be communicating together, to clear their intention, to remind them of who they are, and to have them work for the highest good for all. So that is what she wanted to do. But I wanted her to know she wasn't going to be alone, that we could all support her on this, that we could, and she could tell us even what she's doing, and if it was something that we could be doing on our own computers. So.
And if I could add to that, I'm actually creating her new website. She had asked me back in March, February,
and that
March.
too, right.
So I'm in the building.
What about, Susan, what about inviting her, instead of creating another meeting?
Right.
About inviting, see if Mary, I don't know if next Monday she'd be able to be here.
I've invited her to every crystal broadcasting, and Mondays are her really busy day. I invited her today too, but
what I'm thinking is, if she knew that what we wanted to hear from her is how we could then, listen to her and Susan as to how we could then participate,
Right.
even if she's here for the first 30 minutes or something.
Yeah. Do you have her phone number or her email address, Susan?
Mm-mm.
You haven't met her. Okay, I'll connect you.
Nope.
Well, she's in the email thread that we started.
Yeah,
Okay.
If you just wanted to reach out to her
Yep.
privately.
Yep.
and because because if we heard from her, because here's this vision that we've gotten through Arlie, the invitation through Arlie, Mary, now Mary adds to it, Susan adds to it, and so her voice adding to it, she could either be with us as we travel, or she could not be with us as we travel, but having her voice as part of the, like Susan did with us going to the sacred site. So something like that, Susan, for next week.
Absolutely. Yep. That makes the most sense.
Okay. Very good. And so let me know, because what we'll do then is we'll send out a clarification of what this next Monday will be like,
Right.
if she can be with us, because that would be really great.
Yep, I'll reach out to her tonight.
Okay. Okay, see how those visions, my gosh, this is
Yep.
part of that neurological system that's hidden.
And then do we want, I know that this last part was recorded. Do we want to keep that recording on if we're going to share this, or yes,
Yeah,
no?
yes, we do, because we want to share with any, any crystal broadcaster that relates to that, will want to be with us. I thought about that too, but I think that, we are crystal broadcasters. We're here to, they've asked us to listen to them. And here's an invitation that came to them that Susan's been doing her part, Mary's been doing it uniquely. Our group needs to at least have the opportunity to hear about it, I think. And it will be, just part of what we do. So it shouldn't be an extra time
Right.
burden. We'll keep it, we'll keep it within our time frame.
Yep.
Is that okay
Yeah.
with everyone?
Yep.
So Arlie, that was really awesome. So I'm glad, because you weren't on last week. So thank you.
No, I wasn't on last week's.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well,
I think we're complete, everyone. Have a wonderful, marvelous, joy-filled week.
lots of loves and hugs go in your direction. Elbow bumps or whatever you do in this time. Okay, yeah, butterflies too.
There
Okay, love you guys. Thanks again, Susan. Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Yeah,
Good job, Susan. This was fun.
Good
Yeah.
night.
Powerful.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.